Welcome back to the show. Now, over the past couple of weeks, we've been speaking to a couple of love gurus. We've told you how to attract a partner, bag a partner, and start a relationship.
Well, once the first few months of the whirlwind romance is over, how do you keep that spark alive?
To answer the question that plagues thousands of couples the world over, please welcome back international releases Heiko and Selina. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Hello,
good morning.
Love birds.
Yeah, they are, by the way, married as well for 10
Yes.
years. You've been together for 11. So
Yes.
I can
that's
hear
a feat in
Carpenter's
itself.
song in my head as they walked in.
But okay, before we go into this whole conversation, tell us how you do it.
Yeah.
How you keep your relationship relevant and alive.
Well, you know, we're like most couples. It's not being a bed of roses all the way,
Yeah.
you know. People
Okay.
look at us and they think, oh, we want to be like them. They are so in love. They're the perfect couple. And we're the first to tell them, well, we have challenges just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that, we are both convinced that having a tool in our marriage to make it work is really, really important. Most couples don't have that. And the tool that we have is the Lindwall releasing method. Releasing, we call it for short, you know? Where we can go in and when we have issues that come up between us, when there's conflict, instead of just only blaming, we might start that way, you know, like, oh, I'm really mad at you. But sooner or later, we have the tool to get down to the root of it.
Yeah.
What's actually the real reason why we're mad at each other?
Okay.
And then we can release it. And we can affirm to come back together. So that's really, really important for us.
Okay. But you know, here lies the problem, I think, with respect to our society and our culture, is that, number one, men. We're not built to express. I'm talking in general, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Asian men. We're not built to express emotion or to even communicate, so to speak, to the wife. So how do you overcome that? You know?
Well, exactly like you say, men are programmed, right? With society programs, men don't show feelings, men don't cry, you know, all those things.
Yeah.
Men are made of steel,
See,
right?
we're cold.
And these are programs that men can release.
Right.
Yes.
But
That's
how do they find that self-awareness first? Because I guess you have to be aware of it yourself.
You have to, don't you have to want to
it?
do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, sometimes your partner helps you to make you aware of that.
That
You know?
discovery.
If your partner says, well, how come you never share your feelings with me, right? Then you might look and say, oh, well, maybe I can release that.
Right.
The need to. You know, men always have this program that they believe that women want them that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I
and
think.
and that's the belief you can release.
Right.
Men have that fear
So do
that
you
if
think-
they're not always strong,
Right.
you know, she will look somewhere else.
Yeah.
But the experience shows is totally different.
Right. So do you think that the partner has to sort of, for men like that, for men, you know, typically like that, do they have to sort of like convince them and sort of like persuade them to open up? And
But therein lies the problem. Because then the men will turn around, because we are always accused of being over-emotional. And they turn around and say, what are you talking about? I don't want to talk about my feelings.
Okay, yeah. Scenarios
You know what I mean?
as such.
Yes.
How would a couple like that
Well,
go?
a man could, for example, release his need for the woman to not be emotional,
Yeah. The fear of emotions.
to accept that she's emotional and say, well, it's just emotions,
Right.
instead of saying it's a big problem.
Right.
So if the man can embrace his own feelings and learn to express them, he can be very neutral in her expressing her feelings and say, well, if you're more emotional than I am, that's okay. And we see, like when you ask us, how do we do that, right? We have an agreement. First of all, we made our agreements. What do you need? What do I need in a relationship?
Right.
And we didn't just go with what's commonly understood. We really talked about it. What is okay for you, what is not okay for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay? And we know that we're both equally responsible for our relationship.
Yeah.
We're not in a relationship to say, okay, you're the one responsible to make me happy.
Right.
Okay?
That's very
And we have a basic understanding that when we got together, that we don't try to change each other. That's always the thing. Once we're married, I'm gonna change him, right?
Yeah. Or that hope that, oh, he will change or she will change. It's the matter of time, you know. I'll be successful in doing that.
Yes.
You know, we both have an agreement. We both have an interest for the relationship to be alive. I don't like to say for the relationship to work.
Right.
That sounds like that
Sounds
has nothing
hard.
to do with with
work.
But do you not agree that it is work? It does require hard work on both efforts, right?
Yeah, commitment.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And the willingness.
And the courage.
No, definitely.
And the humility.
Yeah. So when does it kick in? So we're talking about how to keep the love alive, right?
Yeah.
But first, let's address
Yeah.
what are the root problems? What do a lot of couples face
Okay, yeah.
that blocks this, the spark from being ignited?
Fear. Fear to be judged.
Bottom line is fear.
Really? Okay.
Fear of many
Fear
things.
of?
Fear of looking less. Fear of being wrong.
Right.
Fear of being with the less inferior,
Fear of not being enough.
not enough. Fear to be left.
Right.
Fear of
Okay.
rejection.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And with the fear, most people cannot express the fear because they are afraid to be vulnerable.
Right.
So instead of saying, I'm afraid you don't love me anymore,
Right.
they get mad.
Right.
Anger is the defense, you see.
Okay.
So I'm angry at you. You are this and this and
Right.
this, but bottom line, I'm afraid you don't love me anymore.
Yeah. But what about not to the extreme of having the fights or the arguments? Just how about couples
becomes
who
a routine.
Yeah, it just becomes a routine where the spark is gone, the flame blown out. Just, what about couples like that?
I wouldn't say blown out. Very often it is like if you have a fire and then you throw wet blankets on it,
Yeah.
it might not be out, but you cool it down. And you have to say, what's the wet blanket that I put in it?
Yeah.
One wet blanket on a relationship is if you take the other one for granted.
Which is very common.
You know,
Yes.
I mean, I would say it's not easy to see your partner every day as if it's the first date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you get the essence of that, if you stop taking the partner for granted, right? If you, the moment you're in a relationship, if you release all those demands, now you're with me, you have to do this and this and this and this. You have to let that go
Right.
instead of coming to gratitude, appreciation, and to express gratitude for the little things instead of taking them for granted.
And not just say it, really
Yeah.
feel it.
Right.
That you did this for me. Wow, thank you. That's great. Even the little things. And we do make it a point to often express that. Thanks for washing the dishes.
Right.
Because, I might have had to do it and I was tired.
Yeah.
So thanks, darling, for washing the dishes.
I guess couples after a while they forget about the little things, don't they?
Yes.
That it's the little things that actually make it work. or-
Yes, and the resentment builds up.
Yeah.
And if they're not able to express it, then they go into Cold War.
Right.
Or it comes out in a passive way.
So what are some of the things couples can do when it comes to the releasing technique?
Yeah.
What are statements that they can say to...
Okay, we talk about it daily, right? Of course, there are releasing sessions for 2 hours where you're going to relaxation and look at really deep roots. But daily, let's say, if there's an argument or misunderstanding, something, I can say, I release my need to be right.
And all viewers now watching, like you can actually say that right now.
Okay.
To say, I release my need to be right.
Right.
Whenever you have a conversation or an argument.
Yeah.
So we have an agreement too, that whenever she suggests something for me to release it, I'm at least ready to say it. So if she
Right.
says to me, Heiko, can you say, I release my need to be right? Maybe I think, I don't think I'm right, but I say it anyway. So
How does that make you feel, though?
When I say that, I open straight away, and I'm willing to let go any obstacle that's between me and her. And mostly makes me feel better. It reminds me.
Okay.
And when I say that, and she releases that too, then openness is created.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
8 minutes is not really enough to
Yeah.
explain
No.
to you how this all works. Great, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being with us this
Thank
morning.
you.
Yeah.
And we'll get working on releasing.
Yeah. We need to release it.
Well, thank you for having us.